My name is Chef V. I'm here with Chef Lindsay today. We are from To Taste, and we are a team of registered dietitian nutritionists and chefs or certified culinary medicine specialists. And we are so excited to be here today. We are on a mission to teach people how to cook confidently, simplify nutrition, and feel better. So our goal today for this presentation is to make it a little easier for you all as caregivers to take care of your loved ones living with ALS, and also to take care of yourself, because that is so important. This is our 6th demonstration with the ALS Association of Texas. And again, we are so excited to be back. There is a recipe card that will go along with this cooking demonstration, and it'll be emailed to you following this with the recording. So we know that caregivers often feel that there is not enough time in the day to get everything done that you need to, right? We understand that burden. It's a lot going on. Just normal life is so busy, which often means that nutrition, unfortunately, goes to the back burner. Eating nourishing meals is so important because that nutrition is so important for you, and it can provide you with essential nutrients and energy, which we all seem to be lacking in, right? We're always also tired. So today we're going to focus on meal prep friendly winter recipes so that you can have nourishing, satisfying, and delicious meals that are readily available for both you and your loved one. As always, please talk to your doctor and or registered dietitian to determine your individual calorie or nutrient needs, either for you and also for your loved one living with ALS. As Tanya said, please feel free to ask questions or make comments in the chat. I see her putting a message in the chat right now about that. Chef Lindsay or I, depending on who's presenting, will be in there responding, as well as Tanya. So today, for our cooking demonstration, we wanted to first emphasize that we understand that cooking can be very time-consuming and an energy-intensive process. So we want to help maximize your efficiency in the kitchen and hopefully save you some energy while providing recipes that will boost your energy. We chose recipes that can be adapted for both higher and lower calorie needs, because we realize that's one of the challenges, right? Your ALS loved one needs more calories, but you don't want to be ingesting that increased calorie amount because you want to make sure you're eating what's adequate for your health and weight. So these recipes can also be texture modified. We know that's very important depending on the stage of your loved one's progress with ALS. And then these can also be multiplied. So you can make larger batches, which is so handy because you can put them in the fridge to have ready during the week, or you can also freeze them in portions, which we love to do just so on, busy nights or busy days, you just need to pull something and have it ready, you can do that. And that helps to save you energy, right? And when you're ready to eat them, it gives you the energy when you do. So today, as you can tell, maybe I've said energy a million times. That's the theme of our cooking demonstration today. We want to help energize and provide energy in 2023 in the new year. So we'll be preparing a Thai coconut curry, fluffy brown rice, and a coffee protein smoothie. Again, all of these recipes can be texture modified. Please work with your SLP to determine the texture needs for your loved one, and also with your OT for self-feeding or assisted feeding strategies. Just as a reminder, for whole food texture modifications, when we're thinking about how can we add calories, we can add plain, this is all to thicken, we can add plain or Greek yogurt, full fat sour cream, full fat cottage cheese, mashed or blended beans, mashed and pureed avocado, nut or seed butter, mashed pureed banana, and also full fat canned coconut milk, which I'll be using today, which is great. To thin foods, but still add calories, we look to stocks and broths. Gravies are great, they're really high in calories. Full fat milk, heavy cream, juice, coconut water, and kefir. And also, we know it can be tempting to add water, and that might be okay sometimes, but that's usually not the best option because it's going to dilute flavor and also dilute the calories. So try to go with those higher calorie options first. Okay, so with that, I know you're ready to see some cooking. I'm going to first pass it over to Chef Lindsay, and she's going to get the brown rice going, and then we'll come back to me for the Thai coconut curry.
Thank you, Chef V. So I do know that Chef V's internet is not just perfect today. It's kind of being finicky. So we apologize for that if there's a little bit of freezing or little bit of glitch. It's just kind of one of those days where it's taken a mind of its own. So please do jump in or chat if you do see that that is an issue or that I need to take over wherever she is if she's too frozen. Okay, so here we are, as Chef V promised, we're gonna start recipes and show you all the yummy, energizing nutrition that we have for you. And I'm gonna start with some brown rice. So why did we choose brown rice instead of white rice? Well, first of all, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans recommends that we have half of our grains be whole grains. And that's because whole grains provide the most nutrition and the most energy for us. So we don't just get energy from like coffee or caffeine or those kinds of things. We're talking about food that will really power you and your loved one all day. So we have brown rice here because it is packed with vitamins, minerals, fiber, and because it is the full grain. So it has the bran, germ, and endosperm to give you all that nutrition, whereas the white rice doesn't. And sometimes they add back then, but we like the whole grain product. So this one is long grain brown rice that I'm using today. And I say that because there are many different types of rice out there. First, we covered the white versus brown rice. So we know we want to use brown rice. And then there's parboiled, there's just the plain whole grain that's not parboiled. And the difference is that this will take a little bit longer to cook. I already have some cooking in the back, so we'll get to go through all the recipe. I promise I won't keep you here for say 40, 45 minutes. But if you're in a hurry and you don't have a lot of time, then I really recommend that you choose that parboiled or it's a quick cooking because they've already cooked it partially for you. And so it would take about 20 minutes then. Okay, so how do we cook rice? We are going to first, you can look at the back of the bag. It is right there for you. And that's often the best bet because each is a little different, but it's about a 2-to-1 ratio. Meaning I'm going to put 1 cup of rice in here. And my pan is heating already. And you can use water or stock if you want a little bit more flavor and calories. But I am using, I've got my water here because I'm just going to make a basic brown rice. So I had 1 cup of rice and 2 cups of water. I'm also going to add a teaspoon of butter and just a pinch of salt. I'm going to go ahead and let this come up to a boil and then reduce it back down to a simmer. If you leave it on boil, it's just going to go whoop, all the way over. I promise, I've done it before, but you really want to, and burn the bottom, but you want to reduce it to a simmer after that. And then we're going to cover it and let it cook. Like I said, you want to check your rice that you're using. If it's a parboiled rice, meaning it's already slightly cooked for you, then it's about 20-25 minutes. But if it is your traditional rice, like I have here, that is, it doesn't say parboiled or quick cooking, then it's going to be about 40 to 45 minutes. So I'm going to let this cook and we'll come back to more rice in a little bit. But Chef V, are you ready to take it away while this rice cooks?
Yes, and I'm hoping my internet cooperates. Again, Chef Lindsay, just jump in if it is acting up. So I'm going to demonstrate our Thai coconut curry. And I want you to notice that I already have all my ingredients out and I have equipment I need to use. And that this concept is called mise en place. It's something that chefs do, and it makes your cooking faster and more efficient. So it's something I always encourage you to do. Always read your recipe all the way through, and then go ahead and measure and get out those ingredients. Now, the first ingredient, thank you for Tanya for pulling that up. You'll notice the first ingredient is tofu. Now, don't let that scare you. I'm sure there's several of you, if not maybe even all of you, that maybe have never cooked with or eaten tofu. I will tell you straight up front, we wanted to show you because it's such a great ingredient to blend for texture modification. We personally love it, but don't let this turn you off. You can easily prepare this recipe with chicken or shrimp as well. You just add those ingredients raw. They just don't blend as well. So we wanted to do the tofu, and I'll talk about how to modify it after the fact too. So just to teach you a little bit about tofu, it comes in a little box like this, and it's like a big block, and it's packed with water. So the first thing you always have to do is drain it. You drain that liquid off, and then you press it. And this is what usually scares people. But to press it, all I did here is I have this towel, and I put it under my tofu, put it back on top. I got a pan and some heavy weight. So we like to just use cans because, you know, we have canned food all the time. And we just let it sit for about 30 minutes. Get that off camera. And then it will press out a ton of liquid. So my towel, I wish you could feel it, wish you could feel the vision, is soaked now because there was so much water in the tofu. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want to waterlog our recipes. So I'm going to set that aside for just a minute, and I want to prep my cutting board. So one of the things that happens when we use cutting boards is that they tend to slide around on us, and that's really dangerous on a counter. So I conveniently have this tofu water soaked towel, and I'm just going to lay it under here. I would recommend just using normal water, not the tofu water, but since I'm doing this demo and it's so easy because I have it, I'm going to do that. So when I put my towel on this my cutting board on this damp towel, it doesn't slide around anymore. So it makes a nice, secure surface for me to cut on. And that's very important. Now, the other part of mise en place is to go ahead and cut or dice anything that the recipe ingredients tell you to do. So one of the things is a diced sweet potato. So I wanted to demonstrate to you guys how to cut a sweet potato because I know it can be very hard, like physically hard, and then people are kind of intimidated to cut it. So the first thing I want to show you is see how it rolls around? We don't want that. That makes it hard to cut something. So I'm just going to cut a thin surface off the bottom, get that off. This is still good to eat if you wanted to save it or compost it, you could do that. But notice how now I have some good stability. Okay, so my sweet potato ends are a little sort of like dried out. So I'm going to cut those off, just remove those. And now this is a pretty long sweet potato, so I'm going to cut it in half. Notice my hand not holding the knife. I keep it in a claw position. That's to protect my fingers. From here, I'm going to cut some planks. So I'm just making these cuts down, being mindful to keep my fingers out of the way. Okay, I'll move that aside. I'll work on the other half like this. You can also buy pre-cut sweet potato in your produce section. And of course, you're more than welcome just to substitute the sweet potato. We like to use baby carrots a lot because that's one that's really easy. We cut the baby carrots in half lengthwise to make them cook faster. You can also get those, I think they call them petite baby carrots, the smaller ones. And you can do that, and then you wouldn't even have to cut them. Okay, so now that I have these planks, I'm just going to stack a few. You don't have to. And I'm going to make my cuts as big as I want my dice to be. And I'm just looking for a small 1/2-inch dice. So once I have those sticks, I can turn it and I make a dice. And the recipe calls for 1 cup. One of the great things about this recipe is you don't have to stick to the exact quantity. It's not going to ruin it if you add a little more vegetables. Now, we wouldn't recommend adding less. So that was actually, this was a big potato. So that was almost a cup. I'm just going to cut 2 more planks. Normally, I'd probably just add the whole potato, but for the sake of time, because Chef Lindsay and I get really excited when we do these, and we tend to go long in our presentations, so we want to keep sure or make sure we stay within that hour. So I'm just going to cut that, and I have 1 cup of diced sweet potato ready to cook. We also thought sweet potato would be fun because I think it's a vegetable that not many people think to use in Asian cooking, but it's great, even like in stir fry too. It's something that's really delicious. Okay, so 1 more vegetable to prep. And again, I'm only going to show you how to cut probably half of it for the sake of time, but bell pepper is one that people always complain about the seeds. Like, oh, I don't want to deal with the bell pepper. Those seeds get everywhere. It's so obnoxious. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut around those seeds. First thing I'm going to do is cut off the top. Okay, this is all still good. So you can just pop out the stem, get rid of that. And then this is still good sweet potato, good bell pepper. Now I have a nice flat surface. And see how that bell pepper has those panels, like 4 panels? I'm going to cut those panels. So I'm going to cut around the pepper like that. I'm kind of making like an arched rainbow cut to get around those seeds. And then I have a little bit at the bottom, still good. I can trim that. See all those seeds? Bye-bye, so we can get rid of those. So if you want to compost, you can do that or put it in the trash, whatever works for you. Okay, so now I've got my bell pepper panels, and for this recipe, we called for this. We kind of like that look in the curry. You can dice it up too, right, depending on those texture needs. So I'm going to go ahead and get one of these panels, and I'm going to cut some strips or sticks. Once I do that, I can turn them, and then I can do a dice. And you don't have to cut all of these. You can do just as much as your hands can handle, and adjust from there. So we're using a red bell pepper because we like the sweetness. It's really delicious. Yellow would have been very pretty in this as well, with that sweet potato and broccoli. The red do cost more than the green. If you buy bell peppers, you probably know that, and it probably drives you crazy, just like it does me. But again, that sweetness is very welcome in a lot of recipes. Okay, so this is going to be about half a cup, which is what the recipe calls for. Again, recipes, we like to say they're guides. It doesn't have to be exact. I'm just going to cut that up. And I think I'm going to do just a little bit more, but for the sake of time, I'm going to stop and get that in there. Okay, so now we are ready to go forward with the recipe. So the first thing I need to do is bring some coconut milk up to a boil. So I have about I have exactly half a cup right here. Do buy the full fat coconut milk that comes in the can. Don't buy that coconut milk that they sell like with the almond milk and rice milk. That is something different. This is the like authentic coconut milk that will be used in Thai cuisine. And this is also a great ingredient just to have on hand to thicken and add calories because it is very high in fat. So coconut is one of the 2 plant foods that actually has saturated fat in it, which is kind of interesting. But we're gonna make sure to use that full fat coconut milk for your ALS loved one. And then for you, it's okay. Don't be scared of that fat. We all need some fat, and the rest of the recipe is so balanced out with the vegetables and tofu and everything that will be okay. Okay, other thing to remember with coconut milk, when you get it in a can, shake it because the cream often settles to the top. So we want to be careful with that. And don't get freaked out if it looks lumpy. Like when you're pouring it, you see this like blop, blop, lumps coming out. It hasn't boiled. That's just what the coconut milk looks like. So once this is boiling, normally this pan or this burner works really fast and it's like not doing it. But once it gets boiling, I'm going to add the Thai curry paste. So if you haven't bought curry paste before, I would recommend this brand if you can find it. It's the Thai Kitchen. I've bought some other brands, and you just never know what the spiciness level is going to be, which can be very tricky. I bought one brand and I made it with the same proportions I used with this one, and my mouth was on fire. And I have 2 little boys at home who actually, they can handle spice, but like my husband and I could barely handle the spice. So I know with this Thai Kitchen brand, like if you want a very, very mild curry, you can do 2 tablespoons and it will not really be spicy. I don't want to say not spicy at all. I have a very high spice tolerance, but it really won't be that spicy. So if that's something you need to keep in mind, then start lower. Today, I'm going to do 3 tablespoons because last time I made it, I did want a little bit of spice. But this is the red curry paste. There's other paste you can buy too. There's green curry and yellow curry. So there's lots of options out there. If you get some other brand and you're not sure about the spiciness level, again, just start with a lower amount and then you can also increase it. Okay, yes, thank you, Tanya. So there it is. So we have the coconut milk up here, and it is going to start to get thick and bubbling, and that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and add, that's like what we're looking for. I'm going to add the coconut, the curry paste to the coconut. Get that out of the way. Get this stirred up. And I'm really looking for it to get really thick, to sort of concentrate those flavors. And in a way, we're bringing out the spices even more in the curry paste because we're heating it. Once it's boiling, then we can start to add the other ingredients. So while I let that sort of boil for a little bit, I'm going to bring my tofu back. So rectangular blocks. I'm just going to cut that into about a 3/4 inch dice or a large dice. You can cut it smaller. It's totally up to you and your preference. So I'm going to cut it into these blocks again. I can turn it, get these individual ones, cut them in half, and then make my cuts the opposite direction. Again, total preference. Sometimes with tofu, people like to cut it into strips. You could do that too. I think the squares are a little bit better for this curry. I personally think I like the strips more for like the stir fry. And again, if you don't want to use tofu, that's okay. Don't be turned off by the recipe. So if like right now I could have chicken and be making some thin slices, just raw chicken, and you would throw it into the curry, just like when the recipe says to do the tofu, or you throw in some raw shrimp. That works really great. We've made it with both of those. We just really like how the tofu blends, and it's tofu kind of like chicken in that it doesn't really have flavor on its own, but it absorbs flavors so well. So it can be really yummy. Okay, so this is starting to boil and concentrate. Let me do a little bit more, and then I'm going to check my time. Okay, and I'm going to bring it up to the camera, get it a little more hot and bubbly. Smells so good. We always joke about how we need smell-o-vision. One day, feel-o-vision too. We just need all of it. Okay, so it's nice and bubbly, and it's going to be pretty thick. There we go. Kind of see it there. Okay, so now that it's like this, I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients. So I'm going to add this coconut milk, and I think you'll see it sort of flop out, like I was talking about, like the lump. Let's see if you guys see. Yeah, if you see that, sounds like a big chunk of the cream. So don't worry, it hasn't boiled. That is completely normal. The cream sort of separates, just like cow's milk. You know, the whole milk actually, you can buy the ones that are unpasteurized, and the milk will settle to the top. They're not homogenized. Sorry, not unpasteurized. Okay, so I have that coconut milk in there. Now I'm going to add some broth. You can add chicken or vegetable broth, whichever you prefer. Homemade or store purchase. If you're going to purchase it from the store, look for those low sodium options. That is going to be best for your heart health. Now I'm going to add some brown sugar to add a little hint of sweetness, get that sweet and spicy flavor going on. And then finally, the recipe calls for some fish sauce, which we know most people don't keep on hand. So that's like what they would authentically use in Thailand. You can sub soy sauce or also tamari. I'm using soy sauce today because that is what I had in my pantry, and I didn't want to bring another ingredient home. And I want to show you, I did purchase a less sodium soy sauce. Again, so we want to reduce sodium for our heart health. We want to think about that. So using that reduced sodium soy sauce helps. So we still get great flavor, but less salt. Okay, so now what I need to do is bring this up to a simmer. And once it's simmering, I'm simply going to add the tofu and the hard vegetables first. So why you do that, you want to add, some of the vegetables will cook faster than others. So I know that the sweet potatoes and the broccoli are going to take longer to cook than the bell pepper. So I'm going to add those first with the tofu and let them sort of start to soften, and then I will add the bell pepper, and it'll be about a total of like 8 to 10 minutes. And I'm really just looking for that sweet potato to become tender because that's going to be the longest. Okay, so while this is cooking, I'm actually going to pass it back to Chef Lindsay. She's going to show you how to texture modify the brown rice, and is going to make that yummy, energizing coffee smoothie. Okay, Chef Lindsay.
Thank you, Chef V. I am a little jealous of your lunch that you're going to have this afternoon because I only have parts of it. So talking about that smell-o-vision and feel-o-vision, yes, a little bit jealous, but that's okay because I'm going to have a delicious smoothie after making this, and I hope you will join us in making it too. Because as we discussed, this is energizing recipes. And I mentioned earlier that we get so much energy from our food, the actual nutrients that we get from our food and keeping energy steady throughout the whole day. But also we have coffee lovers, and a little bit of caffeine is okay. In fact, dietary guidelines for Americans say about 400 milligrams or less, stay under that 400. And that's a lot. That's honestly a lot. So 1 cup of coffee has about 100 milligrams. So this smoothie in particular, we are not talking about making a Frappuccino from Starbucks or whatever coffee shop you may go to, because those often are full of sugar and don't have the good nutrients that we really want you guys to have. So this is a coffee protein smoothie made with good ingredients. And I say that because we're going to start first with making kind of the base of this protein smoothie. So if this is for you, or for you or for your loved ones, we're going to make one batch and then pour out a little bit, and then you can go ahead and add those more calorie dense nutrients and ingredients into your smoothie. So starting off with a milk, you can choose a cow's milk or an almond or a soy, but we're going to do a 1/2 cup of milk. And I like putting this on the bottom first because it helps my blender not work as hard. So if we've got that liquid on the bottom, then it helps the blending really start. Now I have Greek yogurt. And if you did just make this for your loved one with ALS, then you would use, say, a higher fat milk and yogurt. But since we're making it for both of you right now, this is a non-fat plain Greek yogurt. And as I mentioned, that our smoothie won't have as much sugar, say, as a favorite coffee shop. This Greek yogurt, about a 1/2 cup, is going in after the milk. And that is where we're going to get a lot of our protein. So from our milk, if you use cow's milk or say a soy milk, you're going to get some protein from that as well. But this Greek yogurt is full of protein. So we've added that. And then a ripe banana. So looky here. I have 2 bananas, and I show you this because I have to constantly keep different types of bananas in our house. But it's nice because they're used for a variety of recipes depending on how ripe they are. So this one with a lot of the brown spots is exactly what we want today. So a little bit further, and I'd say I'd use it for banana bread, but this one my kids might pick up on the counter to eat just as a regular banana. But you want the one today that's a little bit sweeter and softer to go into this smoothie. So choose and keep those spotted brown bananas around just for these smoothies because they really do make them more flavorful. So I have one just on the counter, room temperature banana, and then I have frozen a banana to go into this smoothie because banana and coffee, and you'll see later, and nut butter, all those flavors are so delicious together. But instead of adding like a berry or strawberry, we like frozen that you usually get, we're going to add a frozen banana. And they aren't often found at the store or every store. I have found them at Trader Joe's or H-E-B. Oh, sorry. Okay, so you check your store if you are looking for a quick and easy frozen banana. But if you can remember in advance, the day before, or maybe like 3 or 4 hours before, peel a banana, put it on parchment paper. You can make a whole sheet of parchment paper with bananas and then freeze them. And then you can store them in a bag or a container. But you don't want to put them all into a bag and freeze them, or else they'll all stick together. And then you'll be upset because they're really annoying to get apart. So I've just added my frozen banana. And again, so we've got our room temperature banana, our frozen banana, and then I discussed nut butter. I mentioned nut butter earlier. This is peanut butter, but you could use almond butter, or I even have a sun butter because I love a chocolate coffee type smoothie. So really any kind of nut butter that you like. We do encourage you to read the ingredients on your nut butter because they often hide ingredients to make them really smooth or creamy or add sugar. So really read the back of your nut butter selections to make sure that the ingredients are what you want. And this one is just peanuts. And then here's another sunflower butter, and it just starts out with roasted sunflower seeds. And then it does have a little sugar, but this one only has 4 grams of added sugar, whereas some have like, I don't know, 10 plus, which we really want to discourage because we get our sugar elsewhere. Okay, then we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of ground flaxseed we have here. And these are omega-3 fatty acids. And when we talk about fats, I know often people are like, whoop, nope, I don't want to eat fats, but these are good fats and essential, meaning that you need to eat foods with them in order to use them in your body. So we've got our ground flaxseed, and you can also find it in salmon or chia seed. So we've added a tablespoon of that, and that's good for your heart health as well. And for the fun, we have our instant coffee. This is just plain instant coffee from the store. And again, this is when you want to read the back of the ingredient label and the directions. So a lot of instant coffee will have a lot of other ingredients in it, but we want you to look for the one that just says instant coffee and find that natural sweetness from your banana and your milk and those ingredients that will really give you that energy and nutrients and not piled with sugar. This direction for our instant coffee right here says for 1 cup of coffee, you would use a heaping teaspoon. I read that because some of them will say like 2 teaspoons. And if you get that first one that says 2 teaspoons, and then you buy this one, and this one says 1 teaspoon is a serving, but you go ahead and add 2, you're going to be way more caffeinated than you may want to be. So I know from previous experience that they're all a little different, but read the back, and a heaping teaspoon is what this one calls for about 1 cup of coffee. So when we said 1 cup of coffee, that's about 100 milligrams. If we're splitting this with 2 people, then you could technically add 2 or consider it as a half cup of coffee for the day.
Chef Lindsay, we have a comment and question in the chat.
Yeah.
Lydia noted that it's her understanding that milk can cause phlegm. And of course, with individuals living with ALS, secretion management can oftentimes be an issue. So I believe Lydia is asking if there's some other options or substitutions that you could use in addition to milk.
Yes, excellent. Now, are you talking about cow's milk or soy milk, almond milk? Because you can use any kind of milk in this smoothie. It's just a half cup of that liquid that will help the blending process and smooth it out. So you could use any type of milk or milk alternative. So that would be soy, almond, coconut, any of those. Is that helpful?
Thank you. Yeah, and we always encourage you to, when you get these recipes, talk to your dietitian, to your SLP for whatever unique needs you, if you are living with ALS or your loved one living with ALS may have, and they'll guide you on texture modifications and work on that secretion management as well.
Yes, most definitely. And Chef View is saying soy or cashew milk would be good. I love cashew milk. I love cashews. So maybe that's why too. And then soy is it does have the closest nutrients to cow's milk. So if you did want that protein and other nutrients, then soy would be a good option too. But yes, definitely talk to your professionals, your health professionals. Okay, great question. Keep them coming. Okay, so now I've got all my ingredients in here, and I said I added 1 teaspoon of coffee, but like I said, you could do 2 teaspoons depending on how many people are going to be consuming this smoothie in particular. And we're going to go ahead and blend it just like this. And I'll have 1 serving for you, and then we'll add the higher nutrients and calories after we process this one. So let's see. I apologize if it's a little loud, but I think Zoom does a great job.
We really can't hear it.
Okay, yum. And like I mentioned, the importance of that frozen banana to really keep it smoothie-like instead of making it too liquidy. But here's our first. Let me see right here. And then, like I said, I promised that I would add more to this. You could use ice cream or a heavy cream. I have a whole milk kefir right here because I love the benefits of kefir. And also it is a whole milk version. So it's going to provide the extra calories from this, using this. So I'm going to add about let's see, 1/4 cup here. And it's deliciously creamy and smooth. Avocado could go in here. Like I said, heavy cream or ice cream is another possibility. And this is going to be easy to just give it one last little blend. And we have our energizing smoothie for both of you. Being that it's nutritious, delicious, and with a little bit of caffeine for a kick. So try that. I promise it will be yummy. And like I said, I also like the chocolate sun butter because that peanut butter and chocolate creaminess, banana is really yummy. Okay, my rice. I did go ahead and cook some extra rice, but let me check on. Yeah, that needs still another minute. So you can see that the non-parboiled or non-quick cooking rice does take about 45 minutes, but I went ahead and cooked some prior. And I want you to take a look. This rice, I know when it's done by first I can kind of look at the pan, see that there's no water on the top, but I'm also going to take my fork and pull back, and so I can see the pan. And if I see water at the bottom, that means my rice still needs to cook longer, especially if you use the appropriate ratio of 2 to 1. So just make sure that all your water has been absorbed in your rice by pulling back again center to see if there's any water left. Now, this is delicious for you, and for your loved one, we want to go ahead and process this, but I know rice can be difficult or a little bit challenging, and you want to make sure that you really have the right texture. So we have a 1/2 cup that we're going to do of rice. Let me see here. And I'm going to add this to my blender. And I'm going to start with just a little bit of water. Now I say a little bit because I know it doesn't have that nutrient density that we're looking for, but it is going to help it process. So I have some warm water on the stove. I'm going to put on the lid right here. Bring my blender over. Okay, let's see what this does first, just with a little bit of water. So it's a 1/2 cup of rice to a 1/4 cup water. And like I mentioned, it's not going to be there yet, but it helps start us off. Yes, fluffy brown rice. Thank you so much, Tanya, referring to those recipes. So just to start to the processing, but now I want to add a little bit of butter. Oh, my butter got chilly in the house. I'm going to microwave this while I add my heavy cream. It set out just a little bit too long. But I'm going to add a little bit of heavy cream, about a tablespoon. My butter's talking to me. Does your butter talk to you in your microwave? Okay, so I'm going to do about a tablespoon of the heavy cream. Here's our butter. Talk about good flavor from the two as well. We've already added a dash of salt when we cooked it, so it does have that flavor enhancer too. And I'm going to go ahead and process this again. And I want you to note that rice will thicken as it cools too. So if you're processing and it is, you're blending and it's looks really good, you may add just a little bit more liquid, knowing that it is going to thicken as it cools. Okay, so I'm gonna do my last little bit here. Do it one more time. Okay, we have our whole grain brown rice with a little bit of butter and cream. I don't know if you can see in there, but it will go wonderfully with Chef V's curry in just a minute. Okay, I can pour this out too on a plate. You guys might want to see what it pours like. And there you go. Okay, Chef V, would you like to add to our rice?
I would. I have the pairing over here. So our coconut curry has finished. So I added the bell pepper, like I said, once the sweet potatoes were pretty much fork tender. And I realized as I was adding the bell pepper that I diced these. I told them I was going to cut these in strips and add them. And instead I was just in the moment and kept on dicing. But either way works. After that, I added 2 tablespoons of fresh lime juice and just stirred it in. So now it is ready to serve. You can either add basil leaves on top of the whole pan, or you can do individual servings. So I have the serving for you right now. Wish I could hand it to you for real. So I'm just going to tear some fresh basil leaves. And then I like to garnish too with some, we really do like cashews. I'm like, you're gonna think we're obsessed with cashews now. I have some roasted, I'm chopping them in my hand, just breaking them up, cashews. And then we have a wonderful Thai curry that you can pair with brown rice. And I had to use these fun bowls, right? Because we all need some smiley faces when we eat. So that would be ready for you. And then for your ALS loved one, I've already got some of the solids from the curry in here. So you want to add some solids first, and that way you can control how thin or thick it is. So it's probably better to start with more solids because you don't, if you get too thin, then you have to work to thicken it. So I feel like it's better to start there. So I put some solids in the blender, and now I'm just going to add some of the actual curry in there to help thin it out. And everything should be pretty soft. Let me go ahead and blend with that. Again, if you don't want tofu, but you like the idea of how it blends, what you could do instead of even adding, don't add all of that tofu. Add like 8 ounces, so like 7 ounces, half the block. And then when it's done cooking, you could throw in like rotisserie chicken would be great. You know, like those rotisserie chickens that are cooked and ready to go. Just use some of that meat for your portion if you really just don't want the tofu. We're okay with that. It's okay. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on. I'm going to blend it. I don't think it'll be loud, especially with my AirPods. Let's see.
No, it's really not.
It's not, right?
I'm always impressed by that.
Yes. It's loud to us though. So if you're like, well, why aren't they talking? It's so loud in our ears. Okay, let me, so I hope I wasn't yelling at you when I was speaking. Let me take a look at it. No? Okay. Okay, that's looking good. Where, oh, right next to me. I was like, where did my spatula go? So that's a pretty good texture. I want to, so let's say I want to modify it more, right? I need to add more fat or calories. So fat and calories, I should say. Avocado would be a great addition. More coconut milk. I think this would also help it blend better. Actually, I'm going to scoop that in right now. You can see again how crazy the coconut, well, maybe not, it's really bright, how it looks through that lump. That's the cream. I'd use this for another recipe where I only needed half a cup. So I'm just going to add a little bit more. And with coconut milk, you won't have to worry about if the cow's milk is causing, phlegm issues. Coconut milk is a good non-dairy substitute. Let's add some of that in there. Okay. see. If you don't require, if there's no texture modification needed to add calories, adding those nuts would work really well. You could just add the diced avocado then instead of like blending it in. You can add some sesame seeds on top, which is a pretty garnish too. Okay, let me blend this again. This is looking good.
I think about all those good nutrients and flavors in there, Chef B.
Yes, it's such a colorful dish, and we find curries to be very comforting, kind of like a newer comfort food. Fun flavors. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and keep checking the time, make sure we're not going too far, too fast. Or okay, here we go. Looks good. This is a Ninja blender. I know all the blenders work differently. Chef Lindsay had a Vitamix over there that blends things like completely purees if you're looking for a really good blender, but they are pricey. But this one works good too. So I want to show you, this is slightly thin. Can y'all see it? So it depends on, of course, your loved one's needs and what that texture, what texture is needed. So if this version was too thin, you would keep more solids to liquid and you just sort of play with it. And like I said, start with more solid because it's easier to thin it out than to backtrack. And then honestly, this would actually just be really delicious for a soup for you. So if you didn't even want to bother separating it, you could just blend the whole thing and you would just have a Thai curry soup and it would still be really yummy with that brown rice. Okay, well, that is the Thai curry. I am going to pass it back to Chef Lindsay to wrap it up.
Thank you, Chef B. I am so excited that we chose this theme today for energy in 2023 because that first couple weeks, I feel like we're all hitting the road, we're running, we're just like feeling good about starting the new year. And then I don't know about y'all, but I'm like, whoo, okay. Reality sets in, like, the days get a little more challenging. And like Chef B said, you guys are amazing and just do so many things in a day. So having extra energy and quick recipes that really provide those nutrients for you and your loved ones is so important. So that's why today we really wanted to give you these delicious recipes and the addition of some coffee fun that you can add to your drinks, your protein smoothie at home. And just keeping in mind that even though it's a cold protein smoothie, we know you can't drink hot all day, right? So that was the fun addition for the cold smoothie as well. So thank you guys. And we hope that you've learned a lot from our culinary demo today and some nutrition strategies that really can promote your health and your loved one's health, and that you can walk away with great confidence to create these recipes at home and something like curry that might be brand new to you. I know that when you put it in the pan and get all of those good smells going throughout the house, you couldn't have the smell-o-vision at home today, but I know that you will really, really enjoy it. Remember to always speak with a qualified health professional who will help you make specific recommendations and accommodations and meet the conditions and needs and modifications for your loved ones. But we have truly enjoyed this time together, and we hope that we've provided you some energy in 2023. And we are here if we can answer any questions. Or Tanya, I would love to pass it back over to you.
Thank you, Chef Lindsay and Chef B. As always, the recipes are incredible and I can't wait to try them. I have tried many and I use the tips and tricks that you share with us on bell peppers and putting the, today I don't think we did it, but putting the damp towel under my cutting board. I mean, so there's so many things that you provide and share with us that are helpful. I agree with Roy, who commented in the chat that this is wonderful and it's great. Deborah said the same thing. Thank you. Can't wait to make the coffee banana smoothie. These are wonderful, guys. And I love that, as always, To Taste takes the time to really research and check the texture modifications and provide those where texture and calories. We're just grateful for you as partners and part of our ALS family. Does anybody else have any questions for the chefs before we end today's cooking demonstration? As I mentioned, we recorded today's cooking demonstration. We'll get that out to you in a follow-up email this week. If not today, it'll be tomorrow as well, or possibly. So we'll make sure that you get that, and we'll include the recipes that were shared on the cards today. Thank you, everyone, and have an energized rest of your day.
Thank you.
All right, goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.